Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again. I'm on the mission that I'm always on, and I really think I got something fantastic to share with you on this day. I was thinking about earlier, the message probably, the subject-wise, would be one way to defeat the evils of Trump. I guess I was focusing on Trump because, when I turned the telly on, everybody was talking about Trump. Not too many were saying good things about him, but they were talking about him nonetheless. And the more they had ugliness to talk about when it refers to him, the more popular he seems to become. And so I decided perhaps that maybe I shouldn't talk about the evils of defeating Trump. He's not that big. But the thought did cross my mind that in order to do that, you do as much good as he tries to do evil. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this thing came to me today to share with you was fresh. And if I was making a public address, it would be easy for me to just let it flow out. But being that it was being shared with me, I took notes, and I'm going to share those notes with you because I'll probably never have an open audience, public audience with you. But do this. Think on these things. What did Trump do? He did this. Biden did this. Obama did this. And Bush did this. And Clinton did this. So what we have are many different people doing and operating different plans. But the pain and suffering remained throughout. Mankind truly has failed. Blacks, whites, men and women. The problems are always caused by the others, never us. I'm sure you're familiar with that saying. Now, looking at this problem from our various perspectives, the Bible talks about souls. At least this is what those who represent the Bible speak on. Souls. A distant heaven. Do's and don'ts. But unless America changes, she is already defeated. Defeated by hatred, defeated by racism and bigotry, defeated by lies, and just a sense of anti-God. However, there is one way to defeat many or to end many of the social evils of humankind. And that is through and by God's way. You see, God planned it. A partnership between mankind and the Spirit of God. A role for mankind. A role for God. God produced and provided any. Now, let me stop there for a second. Many of you might be saying, why am I saying these things to you? Why are you to believe that whatever I'm saying is worth you sitting there listening to? Well, I answered that. I answered that because of what the objective is. Freedom, life. And if that's what you're interested in, it doesn't matter who's speaking. When people start talking about life and those things that you're interested in, you pay attention. So I'm only saying this because it interests me. And maybe somebody out there might be interested as well. But God produced and God provided any and every resource required and necessary. This is God. This ain't us. This is that power that we can't see. Every resource for mankind to do any and everything they choose to do. That's the power that we can't see. That's part of that power's plan in this life process. Doing that part that we don't have to do. Resources in the earth. Resources on the earth. Resources above the earth. Resources seen and unseen. Mankind, my friends, is to feed through a spirit guided the man through magnificence. Mankind, my friend, though, is to choose a career. Now, God has prepared everything. Now it comes to us, human beings. It has been designed such that we, each of us, choose a career that gives us our greatest joy. Just by doing it, we get our greatest joy. And everyone, A through Z, is engaged in the process of life. Everyone doing what they love doing. All of humankind engaged in the process of life, doing what they love doing. And what are they doing? They are providing for peace. They are providing for prosperity. They are providing for freedom. They are providing joy and happiness and the living of dreams, assuring that all of us, humankind, all of us, our needs, our wants, and our desires are always met. Now, while we, the human race, are doing what they love doing, they are creating in mass abundance food and clothing, shelter and education and healthcare, and transportation and infrastructure, and cars and boats and planes and lights and computers and televisions and jets and spaceships and artificial intelligence and the like. My. But check this. However, mankind, all of us on earth, are given a choice. We can live the life according to God's plan, as I just mentioned it to you, or choose to live according to the human plan. Now, mankind's plan is founded on a lie. That their plan is better than God's plan because they are better. They are more deserving, better in every way. They are designed as leaders, masters, over certain groups. They design the plan of life for others through dictatorships and through democracies. They end up with a plan that permits them, with the support of all the people or not, to claim and steal the natural resources of the earth as theirs, to do with as they choose. Trying to play God, they use humans' natural resources, or should I say natural response to living. Trying to play God, they use humans' natural response to living by taking the resources provided by God for all the people, and they exploit the people by putting a price on resources that they need and that they made for the human system that creates poverty, that creates crime, that creates violence. These men, or should I say these man-made systems, are championed by people like Hitler. They're championed by people like Mussolini. They are championed by people like Pol Pot. They're championed by people like Putin, championed by people like Trump and the like. And these will go to any extreme to protect their evilness, even kill. This, my friend, is the way of mankind's rule all over the earth. Now, here's the part. Here's that wonderful part. Here's that part I want you to listen to. Listen to whatever else is going to be said, okay? Listen. Those that follow God's plan, they know how it works. And they will not bend to another's way. They, my friends, are the ones that are hated. They are the ones that are persecuted. They are the ones that are jailed. They are the ones that are killed. All these folks out here, some of what they're going to be. No, these are the ones that suffer. This is the rough test of those that choose God's plan. This, my friends, is the test of those that choose God's plan. How many people you know go to church? How many people you have been knowing? Do they choose this plan? They're Christians, they're Jews, they're whatever. Anybody out there doing this? What happens when God's folks bend to evil? I just got through telling you what was the test. But what happens when folks bend to evil? Well, let me give you an example. Hamas, a couple of months ago, God's people, they claim to be, went into Israel and they committed evil. Now, they justified it. I'm sure they did. They said a little evil. They did this evil, my friends. A little bit. Less than 1,500. But still evil, nonetheless. Now, you see what I just said? Hamas. These people love God. Allah. But some things happening that it is not changing. And they decided to do something about it. And what they chose to do was based upon their understanding of man's way. So they went in and did a little damage. Came back out. Now what happens? Here's the response. This from another of God's representatives. This is Israel. You know what they say, God's special people. Y'all know the story. Now, Israel, pissed, they choose, they got a choice now. What do you do? How do you respond to this? You got a choice. Well, you see what has just happened. You know that's evil, and you're not going to take it. That's what Israel said. So Israel decided to bend to evil itself. Now, as a result, it has caused the damage of over 30,000 plus. Wait a minute now, Hamas about 1,500. Israel coming back to do this, to show don't mess with us, have over 30,000 plus. And making an effort to make sure that it never happens to Israel again by wiping out all of that which threatens. Now, both of these groups claim to have a relationship with the invisible, most magnificent power. And both of them are acting not according to God's plan. That's mouth, that's talk. But they are doing their thing. Hamas probably didn't do any more than they did because they are restricted. They don't have the ability. But they did what they did, and it was evil. And Israel, just the same. Their God was their plan. Had nothing to do with God's plan. Retaliated and let the whole world know that, yes, you don't want people to see it, but people can see, certain people can see, at least those who follow God can see, that the evil that you did to Hamas was tenfold that which Hamas did to you. So don't walk it up thinking that God bless you. Satan blessed both of you guys. Now, as a result, let me read this to you. A reason that God's plan calls for non-compliance. The reason that God's plan says not to bend to evil's way is because it is a sign of loyalty to God. Listen, ladies and gentlemen. God's plan, the one I just mentioned to you, is saying to all of those who follow God, when you see evil around you, that's not me. That's the destructive one coming to destroy you. But don't you listen to it. Don't you bend. And you don't listen. You don't bend. Why? Because you got a relationship with God, the Spirit of God. You have a pure heart. You're sincere. You want to live. You hate pain and you hate suffering. You don't want it. And anybody having it is like you going through it. Because your connection with the Spirit of truth reminding you that it's wrong, that it's evil. So you don't become a part of it. You become the enemy of it. You do what is necessary to expose it so that people can wake up and change it. That's what you do. But these people don't do that. They pick up their guns and everybody go fight. But God's people don't do that. They don't act like Hamas. They don't act like Israel. Nah. They resist as loyalty to God. And what happens? God knows that evil don't like this. God knows that evil will kill you for doing just that. But you are ready, and God knows that. Excuse me. And God will allow you to be killed. Ladies and gentlemen, did you hear what I just said? God knows that you're ready. You know the truth. You realize that God is God, and ain't no human being can replace God. And God is responsible for you being here. And God is in charge of life, not death, not destruction. And you're not going to become a part of destruction. And whatever God has for you in life, that's God's business. And you're just, hey, whatever. My friends, it is your graduation. I know you go through life. I've been here a long time. I've seen it. People go through life wondering if they're doing right, wondering if they're pleasing God. Don't have any idea. Really, most folks have no idea. I'm saying that because this thing has become so much clearer to me as I've experienced, the test, what is and what isn't. And people just have not known, but they did what they did. Now, I'm not going to try to judge them on whatever that is all about. But this is about graduation. This means that you stood the test of time. You did not change, and this is my good. This is my faithful servant. You see what I'm saying? You, my friends, have just experienced that which is the key to everlasting life. You are being killed as a seed, not going into the ground, but you are being killed as a seed being released from that body into eternal life, experiencing God's plan. You see that? You see that? Now, maybe you heard this before, and maybe you haven't. But it lets you know. Many of you might have thought, might have even looked doubtful. But this, my friend, is the way to stand up. This is the reason to stand up to evil. What is it? It represents the truth. Using your death is the key to being born into everlasting life. Now, outside of that, I don't have any information. Maybe the Bible got some information. Maybe preachers and elders got some information. I got nothing beyond that. My message was to say to you what I have said. Love God, love yourself, and love others just as much as you love yourself. So when you're dealing with other people, you're dealing with them like you're dealing with yourself. And this is loyalty to God, because you're not claiming to be anything but who and what you are. That's glorifying God. And as a result of that, you are living here on this earth just as though you are in heaven. And when somebody comes along and starts trying to mess you up, you put that stuff aside. But if for some strange reason they grab people and people get a hold of, and they start listening to them and start empowering them, you do nothing to give them power. You represent God. And stick to it, because graduation requires whether you stick to it or whether you don't. You've been over there. Look, now let me just say this. I know it's staying a long time, but it's just so good. You know, you hear people say, well, excuse me, I tried that walk, but I had to eat. I had to, and the only way I could do that, I had to give in to the world's way so I could live. Yes, you did. You had to give in to the world's way so you can live according to man's way of living, not God's way. Because God had a way. God's way of living was saying, not that. Don't bend. Don't bend. Well, what am I do? Well, you can stand up and represent what's right. Now, but I don't know that. I know. But some people, there was somebody who knew what was right. There was somebody who took the first step. You know, and if you don't know it, you don't know it. I don't know what God's plan is, but I am. Well, let me let you go. My clock says 9 o'clock. I shouldn't have been talking this long. I'll talk to you next time. Good night.